If we go ahead and build that, that'll give us a 10-year plan. So I'd like for us to have some more discussion about, instead of just shelling out the 96, finishing those out. That'll give us an opportunity for a revenue stream, which quite frankly, our taxpayers are gonna need.
So
I'd like to shell out a 5th floor and finish that out and give us a revenue stream that our taxpayers
Well, I would
can
like
get
for us to
some
look at
benefit
that
from
today.
too.
And
I
if
think
we
we should
don't,
look at both.
and if among ourselves, if we don't have, because we've only seen this once, I would like for us to get some, have more discussion on this today. Now it's fine with me. But if we have any questions that HDR needs to answer as far as the cost of proceeding with the 5th floor and the areas that they were considering to be merely shelled out, I'd like for us to get a price tag on that, because doing anything less than a 10-year plan, I'm a bit uncomfortable with.
I agree.
And the real estate issues are important. And I think that if we do anything less than have the real bottom line, as close as we can get for the voters, we're gonna run into trouble, and we don't need that. We need to be very successful with this. And y'all are just gonna have to explain the parking to me, because I just quite frankly don't get it. I don't get where the parking is, because for one thing, we don't even have the complete staffing picture. So how do we know if we have the correct amount of parking for staff?
I don't know, and I talked to Chief Bickerton about that very issue, because I was concerned that he's not here today because he's kind of ill. But he says we have plenty of parking. He says there's no reason to be concerned about parking. He says it's there. Staff has places to park.
well,
And because, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And because
Sorry.
we're doing off-site visitation, we don't really have to worry about all that parking. But there is staff parking there.
Okay, well,
Commissioner, can I respond to that just briefly? It's my understanding that the parking lot that is on Spring Street, south of Elm, where the jail staff, probation, and the sheriff's department, many of the sheriff's department staff parks, because that parking space would not, because probation and the sheriff's administrative staff would probably not be parking there, that would be sufficient parking for the staff of the jail.
okay. Well, that's that little puzzle piece that fits
Sure.
in with the
Yeah, I
executive session. So I understand where you're headed. It's just that before we approve ballot language today, I want us to get to know exactly how much this is gonna cost to go ahead and with those additional 96 beds, so that we can look at additional beds for revenue strength.
We could certainly recess this meeting, since we're going to be meeting throughout the day. We need to make, I see Mr. Gary reaching for the microphone, so.
Judge Fisher, I was about to suggest that we can recess this meeting, and we could reconvene after the posted executive session. That's actually posted as a separate meeting, but to close of that meeting, you can reconvene this meeting and take up this agenda item.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Well, I don't have a problem saying publicly that I think we were given a proposal the other day to shell out the 5th floor of the jail and also the minimum security area. I think the 5th floor involved 288 beds, I'm believing off the top of my head. I'm just shooting from the hip, but I think that's right. And then 96 in the minimum security section. And I just think that we need to, at the very least, shell out these areas, although I do agree with Commissioner Fleming. I know it's a shock, but I do, Commissioner. I agree with Commissioner Fleming that we need to seriously contemplate going ahead and finishing out these areas. Even though there will be an additional cost, we need to remember that there are other counties around us, Gregg County being a very good example, that are doing just the reverse of what we're doing. They're not sending out folks, they're bringing them in because they have the room to do so. And I think anything along these lines would do two things. First of all, it would bring a revenue stream that's not there, and second of all, it would certainly give the sheriff more headroom. I'm very, very worried about building short, because even though I'm new, I remember that we had a jail built in 1984 that was full the day it opened. And I would hate to see this happen with this particular facility. And if we're talking about 1,300 and some beds, right now we're running we're pushing pretty close to 1,000, Chief. I think we were right up there, pretty close to it. And folks need to keep in mind that 1,000 beds will not keep 1,000 prisoners, because we have to classify those people. So there's always going to be more beds necessary than there are folks. And we get 3 years down the line when this thing opens up, and now instead of 1,000, we got 11 or 1,150 or so. Well then, with the classification process at about, Sheriff helped me, 10%, I think, somewhere right in 10%. Yeah, so we're already kind of knocking on the door full when we open the doors on this thing 3 years from now. And I hate to see that happen. And if we build this out with the additional floor and the additional beds, they are not going to sit there empty, and they are not going to be a burden on the taxpayers, because we're going to have folks in them from these other counties. And I strongly recommend that this court go ahead and do that. If we don't, I think we're making a mistake. Yes, I know it runs the number up over the magic 99 million. It's like buying something for $9.99 instead of $10. It looks better, and I understand that. I get that. Gaylord and the task force, I understand that part. But we need to be real with these people out here too. They're not, citizens of our county aren't dumb. They get it too. And we need to be real with these people, what's really needed, because they're really going to be mad at us 3 or 4 years from now if we didn't do this right. Thank you.
Commissioners, I just want to go on record as saying I would support the expansion of the 96 beds at the low-risk facility. And if it's the will of this court, I would certainly support the additional expansion of the 5th floor, even to not just to shell it out. I would support shelling it out. I know there's going to be some logistical problems down the road when we have to finish that facility out. It's going to require cranes. You'll have to go through an exterior wall, and you'll have to finish it out. But I'll tell you, to do both of those things now would be approximately, and this is from talking to HDR, would be approximately additional $15 million. $2 million or so for the 96 beds, probably around 13 for the 5th floor expansion. I would support it. I would definitely support it, because I think that there's no doubt we're going to need it at some point. And I hate to build a jail that's full when we get it built. Additional discussion. I think there's a motion on the table to vote for the resolution. Is there further discussion on that item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 14, consider and approve a contract between Smith County and HDR Architecture, Inc. for the architectural services for the proposed Smith County Justice facilities. Gary?
Judge and Commissioners, at this point, it's just up to the court to decide what terms you want in the contract.
Mr. Gary, have you received comments from task force members other than those initial changes that were requested?
No, Judge, no.
Judge, I think we need to do that.
Well, I remember Mr. Mabry going over it, so,
too.
I don't understand why you haven't received the information back. Gabriel?
There was the work authorization memorandum, Commissioner, and we went over that. This is the
Okay.
actual contract
So I thought he was going over
project.
he went over the contract also.
I have not received anything.
Good morning, Mr. Pugh.
Good morning, Judge, Court. The question on the table is Ron Mabry's review, as I understand it. I had the opportunity to visit with Mr. Mabry within the last hour to verify where he was, and he is about 3/4 of the way through that review. That's responsive to your question.
But we need that other 1/4.
Well, I asked him about it. It's my understanding he needed a couple more days.
And Judge, if I might, and I don't mean this in a negative toward you, Michael, at all, but I would like for us to have some independent counsel look at it that has some expertise, a lot of expertise in it. And I'm thinking we may have a task force member that has that expertise, and that'd be Robert Davis. I'd like for him to look at it, just to add another layer of credibility and buy-in from the task force for